thank you so much for tuning in. So today I'm going to be starting a Shop My Stash series here on my channel, and since this is the first one of its kind, I figured I would go ahead and lay out my rules for how I'm going to be doing Shop My Stash, since everybody does it a little bit differently. I am not going to be focusing on picking out individual items from my collection, from each category in my collection, and then committing myself to using those products for a set amount of time. Which I know is what a lot of people do for Shop My Stash. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is just picking products from random categories that I want to focus on and just using those products. So for example, and the reason why I'm doing it that way is because there are certain categories where I do have a lot of products like eyeshadows, lipsticks, highlighters, but there are some categories of makeup where surprisingly I don't have a ton of items like foundations, concealers, and bronzers, although I maintain that I would actually have a pretty robust bronzer collection if more companies made bronzers for my skin tone, but I guess my wallet is happy about that at least. So I guess you could say that my Shop My Stash series is going to focus mostly on color cosmetics, and I figured I would use these products for around 2 to 3 weeks, and then I will come back with a separate video reviewing the products that I talked about in the previous Shop My Stash video. So I know some people like to film their reviews and Shop My Stash videos, like their next Shop My Stash video all in one go, but I just feel like for me that would, I like to talk a lot, especially when it comes to reviewing items, so I feel like it would be better if I just separated the two. So that's how I'm going to be doing it. I also thought it would be really fun to do themes for these Shop My Stash videos as well. The theme could be based around anything, you know, the season, if I feel like I want to focus on a particular color, whatever the case may be. I got the idea to do this from Lauren of Mae Beauty because she does the same thing with her Shop My Stash videos. And as far as format and how I'm going to film the Shop My Stash videos, I've already picked the items for this Shop My Stash, but if there is a preference in the future for seeing me actually go through my collection and pick the items on camera, I'm not opposed to doing that. Personally, I enjoy watching Shop My Stash videos where people have done either or. But until, you know, there is preference expressed one way or the other, I probably will just continue to film with me having already picked the items out. So for today's theme, I decided to go with the theme of summer since we have just recently entered the season, and at first I was just going to leave it strictly at summer, but then I realized that of course summer is going to last a lot longer than the 2 to 3 weeks that I'm going to be using these products, so I decided to go with something a little bit more specific, and I thought this could be actually like an ongoing series, so like summer themes, but the first summer theme that I went with had to do with the colors that I noticed I was gravitating towards, I guess, in choosing products for a summer theme, and the colors were really warm, fiery types of colors, reds, oranges, bronzes, copper. So I decided that the theme for this Shop My Stash would be Summer Edit 1 Heatwave. So that's kind of the theme here. And then the next Shop My Stash video will be another summer themed video, but focusing on a different summer type of theme. So I'll go ahead and just get into the products that I have chosen for this Shop My Stash. So I'll start with the first item that I picked, and the item that probably inspired me to pick more colors in the vein of this one, and that's this MAC blush in the shade Format, and this is an OG for me personally. This was one of the first MAC blushes I bought. I bought this, Raisin, and Fever all at the same time, and those 3 blushes are still 3 of my favorite blushes. And I wouldn't even solely classify this product as being a blush because I think it's a little bit more multi-dimensional than that. I don't know if you can tell, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it, and it gives this really nice golden glow to the skin. It's kind of orange, kind of brown, so it kind of also has the effect of bronzing the skin as well. I don't know, I think of this as just a really pretty face powder to put on that just adds something really nice to the skin. And I don't know if you can tell, but I actually have quite a big dip in it, so I feel like if I use this consistently I could actually hit pan on it. But yeah, because when I first got this I was reaching for it constantly, like regardless of like the time of the year. Even though this is, I would say, like a very summery product, I would reach for this really often because it's just really beautiful. So this is what it looks like. I went ahead and swatched it on the back of my hand. I don't know if the camera is doing it any justice, but it's really just beautiful, sort of like, again, bronzy orange color with that really nice golden sheen. The finish of this is really beautiful on the skin, and as you can see, it really kind of almost just enhances the skin. It almost basically gives a wet skin or wet look effect on my skin tone, which is really nice. The next product I have is another bronzer, and this is the Becca Sunlit bronzer in the shade Maui Nights. Now, this is not the type of bronzer that I would go for personally nowadays because it is quite red, as you can probably tell. This is one that I used pretty consistently too, as you can maybe kind of tell, because it has like a pattern going through it, but the pattern's been kind of rubbed away on the outside, and in the center it's pretty worn. So I did wear this quite a bit when I got it, mostly because I think this was at the time the only official bronzer I had in my collection, because again, companies making bronzers for dark skin has only been a thing within like the past couple of years for the most part. But I do have some bronzers now. I have one from Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade Mahogany. I have a Bobbi Brown bronzer in the shade Deep, and I have another Anastasia contour powder that I use as a bronzer as well. And those are all more neutral, and I find that on a daily basis I gravitate more towards that type of a bronzer. I mean, they're still warm toned, but they're more neutral. Whereas this almost reminds me of like what I would look like if I sunburned. So I'll go ahead and swatch this for you so you can see just how red this is. And I honestly, I don't mean to like knock this product because it is pretty, but it's just like, I feel like it's, you know, you have to be going for a very specific kind of look. And I certainly think that it's much more of a summery product than it is something that I would wear during other times of the year. So that's it right there. And yeah, I mean, you can see it's quite red, and it does have a little bit of a sheen to it as well, which I think is pretty nice. The next product that I have is the product that I probably should have talked about first if I was going in order of application, but this is the MAC Strobe Cream in the shade Goldlite, and I'm really glad to have brought this out because this is a product that I often forget that I have. In fact, I neglect a lot of my cream and liquid type of products, which you'll see that I have a liquid highlighter in this video later on as well. But I do want to go ahead and try to use this up before this goes bad, so I'm really glad to bring this in. It is a really nice product and a really nice cream. I did apply this today, and I also forgot to mention that I also have the Becca bronzer and the MAC blush that I showed on today as well. And this is a really nice product. I'll go ahead and swatch it for you on my hand so you can see. And it comes out as a white cream, as you can see, but then it just kind of blends out into this really nice sort of like sheer golden glow, and it's very subtle. It's nothing like too crazy. You can use this underneath your foundation, you can use it mixed in with your foundation, and I'll kind of show you both of my wrists, so hopefully you can kind of see the difference. And then there the cream is on my hand as well, and as you can see, it just gives this nice sort of like glistening glow. It's nothing that's too crazy. It doesn't look like you've applied, you know, like an actual like liquid highlighter to your face or something that has like tons of glitter in it. It just gives off a really nice glow. So I am, again, happy to be putting it in this project because I would like to actually use that product up before it goes bad. So I also went ahead and pulled some pretty summery eyeshadows for this as well. And first up, I have the Give Me Glow Summer Vibes palette. So, I mean, summer is in the name, so it was kind of an obligatory choice. I picked this up during Black Friday last year, and I have used shades out of here individually, but I've never really used the palette as like a cohesive whole, even though I feel like you could totally do complete looks with this palette. I do have a couple of the shades from this palette on my eyes today, particularly a couple of the mattes. So I have Watermelon, which is this beautiful matte watermelon red, and then I also have Mango Margarita on as well, kind of just like underneath the brow bone and kind of just as like a transition or like blending type of color. So they worked really nicely. I will say Mango Margarita, even though Give Me Glow Cosmetics matte shades are usually pretty pigmented, I will say Mango Margarita wasn't as pigmented as I am used to with their shadows, but I mean, Watermelon definitely pulled through, and I'm excited to get to use this palette a little bit more as well. I'm going to try to show you the next thing without ending its life because it's really precarious, but this is the Melt Stack in Baby Girl. I have had this stack for quite some time, and truth be told, I haven't used it up until putting it in this Shop My Stash. So I did actually do a look with this and the Give Me Glow palette as well yesterday, and it came out beautifully. I think this is probably one of my favorite stacks color theme wise. I love the tones in here. It's really a perfect coral themed stack or palette, if you will. Overall, I just really like how this stack is set up. I'm surprised that, well, I guess I should say I'm not surprised that I haven't really reached for it because, to be honest, as cute as these stacks are, they don't really lend themselves to being, you know, the first thing you would want to reach for when you're doing your makeup on an everyday basis. So there's that, but I'm really glad that I put it in this project or this Shop My Stash to really make an effort to use this because it is gorgeous. I also decided to pull in a couple of individual eyeshadow shades as well. The first one that I have here is one of the Dose of Colors EYEdeal duos, and this is what it looks like. These were those duo eyeshadows where you have a cream eyeshadow on the top, and then at the bottom you unscrew and you have this loose pigment. So this one is in the particular tone Sunset. So I know for a fact that I haven't used this particular one of my eyes. I have used these, I have a couple more and I've used them, but I haven't used this one. So I'll go ahead and swatch the both of the shades. So that's the sort of like cream base that you're supposed to use. I will say that in my past experience, I found that you definitely still want to put like a primer underneath this, because even though you might think that, I think they even call this a primer if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, primer and pigment. So this is supposed to be the primer. Yeah, no, I would definitely say put a primer on underneath this, because if not, you might experience some creasing. And then I'll go ahead and swatch the pigment shade as well. I'm just going to top the pigment shade onto the primer, but that's what the pigment looks like on my finger. Really pretty coppery color, and that is what it looks like on top. So those two colors were like completely different. As you can see, like the base or primer product was a lot lighter in tone and kind of just amplifies the copper color that this has. This is actually what I have on my lids today. I kind of messed up a little bit because I wasn't sure what I was doing with my eye look. I thought I was going to reach into a different palette, and so I prepped my eyes with some glitter glue, and then I went in with this, which I probably would not advise. I think because I did that, this look ended up looking a lot more flaky than I would have liked, which I think again was 100% my fault for using the glitter glue and then changing my mind as to what I was going to do, because otherwise I don't think it would have done that, because I haven't had that experience with the other Ideal duos. So yeah, don't do that. I was able to kind of salvage it, but like if you look really close, I feel like my eye looks not all that great, but it is a very, very vibrant copper and a very pretty color. I just feel like I do for sure neglect some of my loose pigment products because they're not as easy to work with as pressed shadows, obviously, but I mean, the color payoff of this is just stunning. I mean, definitely much more than you would see out of a traditional pressed shadow. So I'm really glad to have integrated it into this Shop My Stash to get some more use out of it. I also brought in two Colourpop Super Shock shadows. This one right here in the shade Lightning Bug, and this one right here in the shade The 6. And as you can see, again, really nice sort of like warm tones. So Lightning Bug is one of their ultra glitters, I believe. Yeah, and then The 6 is a metallic shade, even though this has more of like a satiny finish, like a satin duochrome I would say it is, but I'll go ahead and swatch those for you. So this is Lightning Bug, as you can see, right there next to Sunset from Dose of Colors. They're quite similar in tone. Lightning Bug is probably almost just as reflective as the Dose of Colors shade. And I really have neglected my Super Shock shadows as well, even though these are probably the easiest to use, highest impact type of shades, especially their ultra glitter formula, which I said this shade here, Lightning Bug, is. So I definitely, yeah, I need to pull these out more because they're just so stunning and so easy to use. Definitely has a ton of glitter in it, whereas the Dose of Color shade looks more like a just really, really foiled metallic shade. And here is the shade The 6, which is a really interesting like bronzy base shade with this really interesting like pukey green type of shift, which maybe that sounds gross, but I really like how that looks. This is one of those shades I can see myself just putting on the lid and doing like a very like one and done type of look. So hopefully I can get some use out of that. This is one of those shades that I think will be pretty easy for me to incorporate into wearing like to work per se. Like it might be a little bit harder to try to figure out a way to use the Summer Vibes palette or even like these much brighter shades, but this shade on the end, The 6, I think I could definitely incorporate this into like a work appropriate type of look. And then the last eyeshadow that I have to talk about is actually a dual function product. You can also use this on the cheeks as well. It's one of the Makeup Forever Starlit powders, and this is in the shade 09, but I think this is also called Coral. This swatches so beautifully, so I'll go ahead and just show you. Again, this is one of those loose products, but this is what it looks like. Doesn't look like that much on my finger, but wait till we swatch it. So I'll swatch it here. You guys see that? It has this really strong, like vibrant reddish coral base and a very strong gold shift. Again, I don't know if the camera is doing it justice. So this as a blush, I think would be really, really stunning. Like a blush slash like blush topper, or like a blush and blush topper all in one, because I mean this just has it all. So yeah, I'm excited to use this. I think this would be really pretty too with like a monochromatic look, where having this on the cheeks and the lids. So I think that that's something that I would like to try. I did use this on my cheeks as well in a look that I've already done using some of these products. I do like it a lot. Again, just one of those loose products that I have neglected. I will say I really like how the Makeup Forever Starlit powders are set up, because as you can see there's just like a little hole in the middle, which makes it really easy to access these since it's not like a wide open type of situation. You literally can just put your finger down and flip the product over, and then you have, you know, the product. You can just keep doing that until you get the amount that you need. So yeah, that's that color again. So pretty. I mentioned that I had a liquid highlighter, and it is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Liquid Glow in the shade Peach Fizz. Now I love this product. I really love this product, and it took every fiber of my being not to buy more of these because they have some really beautiful colors. But I know myself, and I know that I neglect these types of products, and that's exactly what I've done for this one. So I'm glad that I only have one, but I really would like to use more of these. I honestly just wish that Anastasia Beverly Hills would make these a little bit smaller, because who is going to go through this much liquid highlighter? I don't know. I mean, maybe actually I probably should start using this on my body, and that would be a good way to actually get more use out of it. But here it is. I'll go ahead and just, you know, blend it out so you can see a more realistic representation of it. This is really pretty. Peachy color, as the name suggests. Or also I think of this color as being almost kind of like a taupe on my skin tone, almost like a taupey type of color, or like, again, one of those more like wet skin look colors. It just blends so nicely into the skin, and that could just be because of the nature of it being a liquid product. How I apply this, I essentially just tap it onto my cheek, just get a little bit, tap it onto my cheeks, and then I use a damp sponge to blend the product out, and it blends out really seamlessly. I also like the fact that I feel like it kind of, doing that too, you kind of sort of mix it in with your foundation, and I don't mean that in a way of like, you know, it starts to like lift your foundation or anything like that. I just mean that in the sense that it kind of just becomes one with the skin more so than some powder highlighters, which can sometimes look like they're sitting on top of the skin. So that's a really nice effect. And also it does dry down completely, like it's completely dry now, so you don't have to worry about this being tacky on the face. So the last category of products I have are lip products, and I have 4 different lip products that I've picked out. The first one is a Colourpop Matte Luxe lipstick in the shade Check Please. It's this really vibrant, like neon orange with quite a yellow tone to it. So I will swatch it so you can see. Yeah, it's quite orange. Definitely not a color that I personally would wear on its own. I definitely would use a lip liner with this, but it's such an interesting orange tone, and with a lip liner I think it does look really stunning. And I have severely neglected my Colourpop Luxe lipsticks, even though it's a really great formula. Like, I mean, it's a formula that I think compares with some higher end, much more expensive formulas, so kudos to them. And even the packaging itself is like really luxe and feels luxe. It's quite a heavy feeling lipstick for, I think these are $7.50, so I think the price has gone up a little bit, but honestly I can't even be mad because it's a really nice formula. Next up, I have a MAC lipstick in the shade Maya Belle. This is from the Elle Seed collection, and this is a really gorgeous red orange shade, as you can see. I have heard that this is supposed to be pretty much an exact dupe for Lady Danger. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if MAC just simply took Lady Danger and just put it in this packaging for this collection. But I've always wanted Lady Danger, so honestly I'm not mad about it. Beautiful red orange shade, definitely something I could wear on its own or with a lip liner for a little bit of depth, but I think even on its own it's really stunning. And red orange colors are honestly probably my favorite type of tone to reach for in the summertime, but I think also more so year round. Next up, I have a liquid lipstick, and this is the shade Brickhouse from the Color Raine Matte Lip Paint line. This is probably my favorite formula of liquid lipstick, and this is a color that I haven't really worn very much, so I figured now would be good a time as ever. So this is what the shade Brickhouse looks like, mostly dried down, as you can see. Just a really nice bricky red color. This is actually the color that I am wearing on my lips today with the next lip product that I will show you. So the next product I have is a really fun product. It is the MAC Grand Illusion lip color in the shade Let's Rock. And I was fiending for this color for so long. I finally picked this up back in April, I want to say, during one of Ulta's 20% off sales, and look at this. It is so gorgeous. It's like got this orange base, and then it shifts to like a almost like a reddish coral color, and then also another sort of like yellowy, pukey green type of shade. If you can't tell, that color is kind of my thing. So go ahead and swatch this as well so you can see what it looks like. It is absolutely stunning. The one thing I will say is that when you apply this on top of a lip color, what I've noticed is that over time it just starts to look more subtle. So you probably maybe can't even tell that I have it on now. I will say that when this lip color hits the light, you can kind of see the more greenish golden tones that are in this product, but it's most intense when you first apply it. So I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like so you can very clearly see it right now as I'm applying it. But as you have it on, the intensity of it just kind of wears away a little bit, so I kind of wish it didn't do that, but it still leaves a nice effect on the lips. And you know, I guess the fact that it, you know, ends up looking a little bit more subtle makes it a little bit more wearable in the long run. But it is a really pretty color. One thing to note about this, which you might not think for this type of formula, is it is one of those menthol-y type of formulas, so it does tingle a little bit when you put it on your lips. So that's a little bit strange because I don't know, I feel like that's only an effect you should feel from like plumping glosses. It's not as strong as you would see in most like plumping glosses, but it does have that sort of minty, menthol-y tingle to it. So if that's not your cup of tea, then you might want to avoid these. So that was it for my first Shop My Stash video. I counted all the products I have and it's 12, which I think is a pretty good number, at least to start off with. Maybe we'll see if I can't increase the numbers a little bit going forward, but I should be able to use these products quite a few times in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And you know, I have, you know, a good amount of different categories of items to play around with as well. So I'm pretty excited to use these, and like I said, I will have a follow-up video which will basically be me reviewing these products a little bit more in depth, and I'll also be showcasing some looks that I have done with these products over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks that I use them. I won't necessarily only use these products together like I kind of have done today. I probably will use them in conjunction with other products in my collection as well, but the point is to, you know, use all of these items, whether I use them together or in other types of looks. The goal is just to use them. So hopefully I do that and I get some good use out of these products. Definitely feel free to subscribe if you want to keep up with this series, and give this video a thumbs up if you found it enjoyable. But either way, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!